Hi, this is Mr. Morales. Welcome to part 2 of the base project. We're looking into databases. So here I finally finished my 20 records. I'm on ID 20, record 20 out of 20. So I have 20 employees, and some of this information is is not real. I'm making it up, but that's okay for the purposes of this project. So now what we want to do is want to make sure we save it. Click on save, or here save. Next is we close this, and now we have our form, which is under employees form. We have tables, employees table. Let's take a look at the employees. And as you can see here, you can see all the employees that we have, all the different departments, the different titles, names, and so on and so forth. Their hourly wage. Some of them have notes, some of them don't. Some of them have cell phone numbers, some of them don't. So this is kind of the rich data that I want you to have. Where not everyone's going to have a cell phone number. Everyone's going to have office number. Everyone will have a title in a department, a name, and so on and so forth. Some people have notes. Okay, so the very important that I want you to check is to make sure that you don't have any misspellings, number one. Number two, you don't want to have I want you to use consistency. I want you to be consistent in terms of your phone numbers. So notice how my phone numbers are consistent. I have the area code followed by the hyphen, followed by I'm using this format. Okay, notice here I'm also using this format for my hourly wage. So look for consistency. Also, my certain departments are going to be the same, so we're looking at consistency for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this table, and we're back here on our main area. Now we've already covered tables and we covered forms, so now what we want to do is cover queries. So let's take a look at query. So a query is used for filtering out data and only keeping the specific data that you need, that you want, or that you need. Okay, so let's go to queries. Let's create a query using design view. And it's asking us where do we want to obtain the data from, and we're going to choose employees. Click add, and then we're going to click close. We'll expand this area. So this is where we want to choose from these fields what we want to add, what kind of query we want to add. So for our project, let me think of some queries that we can include in our database. So let me backtrack a little bit and mention that in a real database you may have hundreds and hundreds of records. There's all kinds of databases for all kinds of things. If you're a student, you're in the student database at school, where administrators are going to be able to see your information. There's databases for if you go to a bank, if you're an employee at a company. So there's data. Your name is in databases for all sorts of things. So this is just an example of how we can grab specific data that we want. So in our employees database, let's just give an example and say that we want to choose everybody that works in a certain department. So let's say the accounting department. So what we want to do is we want to go to double click first name, and notice how it brings it up to towards the bottom area. Let's double click last name. Let's double click click on department and office phone number. So these four things. So what we're doing is when we see these, whatever is at the bottom area, this is what we're going to show. This is what's going to come out in our query. This is everything else gets filtered out. So now that this is my simple, very, very simple query, and but see, if I run this query, let's see how would I run it. I believe, here we go, click on run query, and so if I run the query like that, then it shows me everybody in the company, including their department and their office phone number. So I filtered other information out, but what I really only want is just the, what did I say, the accounting department, right? Yes, so I only really want the accounting department. I want 3, well in this case it's 3, but you know, other departments or other companies can have so many more. So how do we do that? How do we filter even more specific? So in order to filter more specific, we go to towards the bottom area, we go to the department column, and under criterion we're gonna type, so once again I can choose any of these departments and filter all the other data out. So if I want to choose the accounting department, I would go under department and under criteria as a row, and in here I would type capital I, capital N, open parenthesis, single quotation, the word accounting, single quotation, and end parenthesis. So the word accounting, I can choose executive, I could choose sales, I could choose any department I want. Okay, so now when I run my query, I filter everything out except for those people that work in the accounting department. I go ahead and save. Let's save my query. Our first query, we'll save it as department query or department. Click OK. And now let's close the query at the top right X. Okay. Now we're going to create another query. So here we have our first query called department. Great. Now let's create another query. Same thing in design. Same thing. We're used to doing this now, or we're getting used to doing it. Now this time, you know, same thing. Let's choose first name, last name. Let me think of another query here. This time let's choose, let's go with no, I don't want to do department, so let's go with title. And see, actually I could choose things from here also. And this time we will choose, let's choose cell phone number. So if you remember from my table, if you remember from my table, not all my employees have cell phone numbers, but just a few of them. So if I were to run this query, so basically in this query what I want to do is see all my employees, or find out which of my employees have cell phone numbers. Okay, so I may have hundreds and hundreds of employees, so I want to filter just the ones that have cell phone numbers. So let's run the query, and notice how I have all of my employees, and then so I have, you know, blanks here. So I don't want that. I want to eliminate all those blanks, and I just want to see those employees that have the cell phone number. So I won't see, you know, certain employees. Okay, I don't want to see certain employees there. So here's what I have to do in order to filter all those blanks, all those blanks out, all those records that don't have a cell phone. Okay, so I'm going to go here to criteria, and I'm going to type like space single quote, and I'm going to type the wildcard symbol, which is an asterisk, type single quote again. And basically what this is telling base is that if there is some data in that field, the cell phone field, I want to see it. If there isn't anything there, I don't want to see it. So let's run our query, and there it filtered everything out, and now all I have is 8 records, or 8 people in my company who have cell phone numbers, or cell phones, or cell phone numbers I should say, and no one else has that on record. So let's look at another. Okay, so let's save that, and let's call that cell phone. Click OK, and go to the top right and exit out of this query. Let's create one more query. Let's go to design view, add our employees table. Oops, well, I added ID by mistake. Let's do first name, last name. Let me think of another query here that we can do. Okay, so go ahead and type in first name, last name. Let's get into let's do hourly wage, and under criterion, let's type, or actually let's run it. Let's see what comes up. And so as you can see, we get a wide array of hourly wages. Okay, let me do this here so we can kind of see. I'll leave it like this, and I'll just scroll down so you could see, you know, all the different ranges that we have here. So suppose I want to find a range, be more specific. I just want to see people who are making between, I don't know, $30 and $60. So here's what I will type in if I want to do that. So actually, let's modify our query here, our criterion. So suppose we want to find an employee who has a specific hourly wage. So here's what we're going to type in. Or we'll type in, and then we can type in the hourly wage. Let's just put 26.25. And if we want to include more, let's say we want people that, you know, well, let's just do it that way. And then let's see if this works here. Let's run it, and yes, see, now we have one person there, and that's kind of what we were looking for. Okay, so we have, let me save this. We have our wage query. Save that. Let's close it. Okay, so at the end of the day, we have 3 queries, and really, let's create another query. You guys make it up. You guys make up a query, and at the end of the day, you'll have 4 queries. You have your table, you have your form, and let's move on to reports here. So a report is an object in a database that is used for presenting your data. So let's look at reports here. Click on reports. And let's double click on use wizard to create reports. Here we have the choice of 3 queries, and our complete table. Now we don't want to ever choose the complete table because a report is really used for, like I mentioned earlier, presenting certain data, and in a real life situation we're going to be presenting data and very specific data. So sometimes the boss will say something like, okay, we want to reduce costs, so let's look at everybody's cell phone. Let's see, let's find out who has a cell phone. I don't know, I'm just making some stuff up, but let's just start with the cell phone, and let's include all of the fields within that query. Let's click next. How do you want to label the fields? Yeah, we want to label them that way. That's fine. We click next. Head grouping levels. I'm not sure what that will do, but here, let's just click next and see what happens. Okay, we'll sort by ascending. That's fine. Next. Okay, so how do you want your report to look? We have different options here. So as you can see in the background, I'm able to see kind of what's going on. No, I don't want it that way. Single to column. Let's do column, single column. Okay, and let's do next. Oh, what kind of report do you want to create? Static report or dynamic report? We'll go dynamic. We'll leave it as cell phone. How do you want to proceed after creating the report? Create report now. Let's click finish. Okay. I'm just going to scroll down, and as you can see, here's my report. It has all the employees with cell phone numbers. Okay. Now I'm going to save this report. Save as. Oh no. No, you know what? We don't have to save it. Let's see. Yeah, I want to save it as some type of an external file. So you don't have to save it. This is just an example of showing you how to create a report if you ever need to print it out or need to show your results to someone else. Okay, so let's close that. Oh, and actually it did save it here. Okay, so I guess once you create your report, it saves it or holds it there. So I want you to create for every query that you have. I want you to create a report for each query. So at the end of the day, you'll have one table, you'll have 4 queries because you're going to make one up on your own. You'll have 1 form, and you'll have 4 reports. Okay, so that's the end of the project. Let me know if you have any questions, and good luck with the project. Thanks.